What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today, here we are to talk about, finally, KDAD. Kinemon, Denjiro, Ashura, Doji, Dogstorm. KDAD is the best acronym for this guy, by the way. Considering how many characters we have in one, normally we have like the Straw Hat crew instead of naming each of the Straw Hats or something like that, or we're able to combine the names of all the characters, which is exactly what we've done here. KDAD is going to be the best name moving forward, I feel. Hopefully, that name picks on in the community, but let's discuss this character. Now, when this character first got data downloaded and revealed, I pretty much said straight away that I thought this character was going to be like close to a top 5 best legend in the game, and after using him in some somewhat difficult content at least, I feel like he is relatively close to that, but there's definitely room for improvement. I think that what they've done with this character is actually really fair in terms of giving him an amazingly strong kit, but also kind of relegating him to be restricted for only one class, at least as a captain. His special ability does still provide boosts to his class, both his classes and his color, so he's going to see a lot of play as a crewmate, but the fact that his captain ability is restricted to mono-class centric teams, that is probably going to be his downside, but his captain ability has a lot of benefits anyway, which I think is going to, kind of overturn some of these negatives that this character actually has. But let's actually get to breaking down what this character actually does. So their captain ability is going to boost slashes, mainly just focusing on slashes, but it also gives them a -2 cooldown at the start of the quest, making them a pseudo speed farming captain. But then they provide only a 1.25 health boost. I wish that was actually a little bit higher. But they also provide 5 times attack, 2 slashes, but then they get a 5.25 times when they have a matching slot. They also make recovery and tandem slots beneficial, and they also have a really neat effect, utility-wise, to reduce 10 turns of attack down. Now, there's only one other character in the game that can actually do that, and that character is Frankie Tanky, or the Frankie Chopper dual unit that came out a couple months back. So having another character that can remove attack down is just absolutely wicked, just not having to worry about attack down, and specifically because the fact that this character is only, focused around one class, and I mean, slashers are not the best class in the game, they're not up there at all. This character definitely helps them out though, but if they're going to give these buffs to these classes, having these god tier utility effects in their captain is going to go a long way into making them a lot better, kind of similar to how we had the Beckman and Lucky Roo for shooters, where shooters needed a lot of support. I mean, they still do today, but the fact that they've given them a really good option with Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo to remove all those defensive effects so you don't have to use crewmates in order to do that, I think it's a really smart idea. So hopefully we see more buffs like this for other classes moving forward. They also have another really cool effect that if they have a Wano slot and you tap on them as a captain, they apply a -10% slasher resistance to all enemies, so that's also really good to see. Funnily enough, the first character to introduce the resistance down mechanic was Kinemon Denjiro dual unit during the global anniversary in February of 2022. So it's kind of funny seeing a full circle with this character returning with Kinemon Denjiro and then 2 additional characters also applying more resistance down towards the enemy. When you do opt to use them as a captain, you get access to their superclass special. They are boosting superclass for slashes, and in order to proc the effect, you do need a very specific unit on your team. Unfortunately, there's no condition to fulfill in order to activate it during the middle of the quest, which I actually do prefer because it gives you a little bit more freedom in team building, and the fact that this character as a captain is already restricted into mono slasher, the fact that they've added this extra layer of team building on top of it is a little annoying, I must admit. It would have been even cool if they start doing super classes where you can even have very specific support characters on units in order to proc the super class or super type. I think that would be a really neat addition too. But the fact that you do need, Odin, Hiyori, Momo, Cat Viper, Kawamatsu, Okiku, Raizo, and Izo, all of those units will activate it, which when you think of the structure of the unit, this makes a lot of sense, but also at the same time, I don't like the fact that you have to use certain characters. But their superclass special is very good, doing 100 times their attack in typeless damage to all enemies, and then the top and bottom row slots will become Wano, and the middle row will get tandem slots. So not only does this character as a captain provide pseudo speed farming mechanics with the additional cooldown reduction inbuilt with that captain effect, but also having a superclass special that not only wave clears, which again helps you with speed farming, but also allows you to get a full board of really good slots. I mean, middle row tandem, you can definitely abuse that. Personally, I actually like the way that the super tandem Kaido does it, where the bottom row get tandem and then the top 2 rows get the Wano slots, because sometimes characters in the middle row can be very vital to your team composition, and I think that having the bottom row be tandem might be a little bit more beneficial, but can't really complain at the end of the day. It's still wave clearing and Wano slots and tandem slots, which I'm a big fan of. It's a really, really nice effect that they have. Also, if you opt to input a Super Tandem character in the future, then that will allow you to activate the Super Tandem straight away, which is obviously a huge benefit to the character. Now, what their special does is also very strong, where it reduces all enemies' damage nullification by 5 turns, which I believe to this point is the highest damage nullification remover to this date. I think the next best might only be 2 or 3 turns, so the fact that we have a 5-turn remover now is pretty ridiculous. At this point as well, we don't really have any other pieces of content that even have more than like 2 turns of damage nullification. So it is odd that we have 5-turn removal here, so it is going to be weird to see how this kind of plays out for future pieces of content. But on top of that, they also change all slots, including block, into matching, which is pretty good. However, there is a little bit of an issue with that, because depending on the situation, you actually might need to get rid of like block slots, for example, and then you have to use their special ability in order to get around the block slots. Unfortunately, their super class doesn't do it, which I think would be pretty broken if they did do that. But at the end of the day, it is nice that they have the ability to remove block slots within their kit anyway. But then in terms of the boosting effects, they boost Strength, Slasher, and Free Spirit characters' attack by 3 times for 2 turns. So that's a very powerful effect as well, and especially because, you know, this is not even a Super Sugo Fest exclusive, and I mean, to a certain extent, you know, this character is kind of like another limited style unit, so it makes sense that they have an incredibly powerful magnification point for their special. 3 times attack for 2 turns, for 2 classes, and a color is phenomenal. But it does go on to say that if this character special or V1 Odin special is launched during the same turn, then you'll deal 1 million fixed damage to all enemies that bypasses everything, including normal attacks only, which is very neat. Shout out to my man Roger. And then he also says that he further increases your crew's attack and orb boost by 0.25, and then extends the duration of your attack and orb boost by 1 turn. So the way that this is structured is that if you use V1 Odin special, and then you use this character's special ability, you have Odin, who is a 2-turn orb booster. You have the Kinemon Denjiro K-Dad character, which is a 2-turn attack booster. You can extend it to become 3 turns of an attack and orb boost, and also you buff the magnification of both the attack and orb boosts. So his attack boost will go from 3 times to 3.25, and then Odin's orb boost goes from 2.75 to 3 times. And for having those for 3 turns is very good, especially if you're in a piece of content where you can not have to worry about the removal of your beneficial effects. Having you know, a 3 times orb boost and a 3.25 times attack boost for multiple stages is quite incredible. And obviously you've got the inbuilt effect to remove attack down in their captain ability, so there's lots of beneficial effects going on here. But I think mostly, you know, obviously this character has a lot of beneficial effects going on. This character is going to be great as a sub. This character is going to be a pretty good captain as well, just depending on what type of situation you are opting to use him in. But probably the most important component of this character is the access to Final Tap. Now their Final Tap, I think many consider to be the 2nd best Final Tap in the game, right behind Straw Hat Crew. And the main reason for that is because their Final Tap is essentially Straw Hat Crew's Final Tap. So we already know how good that Final Tap is, and let's go ahead and have a look at what this one does. So the activation requirement, sometimes the Final Tap requirements are quite steep, but this character just simply reach the final stage, the exact same as Luffy Crew. And the effect at level 5 will give this character a Wano slot, and then adds 1 times the damage dealt from your normal attacks of your other slasher characters this turn on top of your final damage. So it's the exact same as the Straw Hat Crew, where Straw Hat Crew would do 1.22 times the damage from all of your crew members on top of the final damage. this character is only 1 times, but it only counts slasher characters. So obviously it's not as good as Luffy crew, but it's on the same level. The amount of increased damage you get out of it is absurd, and this is going to be a very powerful effect moving forward, especially on super bosses. So it's going to be interesting to see what the upcoming Kizuna is going to be with this character in mind. Likely going to be very, very important for that content. But that's the breakdown of this character. I'm a big fan of this unit and very much looking forward to using him in a lot of content moving forward. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the brand new SugoFest exclusive down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.